Yeah, yeah, and the kittens. See. Hola, buenos dias. We've got a lot of folks out for different things. Oh, I'm not surprised. I'm surprised I'm not out for different things between the electricians and new pets and oh my goodness. One of these days I'm going to have to post some pictures for everybody about all the physical stuff going on in our house, which are all for the better, but yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Yes.
buenos días y espero que podamos practicar muchísimo con el subjuntivo. Am, para los que van a ver, sí, este video, sí, más tarde. Y tenemos un artículo que vamos a leer y claro que voy a contestar sus preguntas. I am, of course, going to answer any questions you have. So what I want to start with first is to see, I don't know if you looked at the curious video.
I
Ooh,
look,
Hola a todos.
yeah,
ooh, can you
I
see
don't,
that?
I can't see the video.
It looks funky. Hang on.
It was black.
We've got a Zoom blip. And of course, now we have yet another person working at home in our home. So talk about overloading the electrical thing. Yeah. Sí. Ahora,
And
mejor.
¿Qué tal?
Yeah, sí. She does speak a little bit fast and she does get to the philosophical. But um, she had some interesting insights which are actually true. I'll kind of talk about the low and dirty 3-minute summary of what it means for you guys with that. Did you have any questions about?
well, just one quick question. Are you able to see us this week if we raise our hand? I hate to just
That's,
interrupt.
I think you have to interrupt. I
Okay.
did one time and then a second time I didn't. I need to file a Zoom report, which is yet another thing to do on my list, which isn't easy. But yeah, I need to file a Zoom report. So interrupt, Lori.
Okay.
Okay, bien. Lori, tienes una pregunta.
No.
Okay, Diana, sí, tú
no,
tienes
it's, I listened to her and it was repetitive
Yes, sí.
and I think I got the gist of it. Um,
It
I
is
think,
very philosophical.
yeah, I just,
It is not for everyone. Here is the 3-minute down and dirty of why she made this video. Number one, actually, there's some new guru out there like, here's this thing. This
yeah,
traditionally, for speakers of English, this is what is promoted traditionally as teach subjunctive this way. Teach it as there are verbs, types of verbs that are triggers, meaning this is an indication that we will need to use subjunctive after the que and the new clause. And that is the very time-honored weirdo thing. And by the way, when I first learned as how old was I? 16-year-old, they did not use this. We just had to memorize long, long lists. We were told they were triggers, but we didn't have this weirdo little kind of mnemonic device to help us. It's just we had to learn it, and I had a nun with a very sharp ruler that she could wrap your knuckles with. So, and I will tell you, I do feel this weirdo acronym is helpful. It is helpful for the English speaker because English just does so many things. The video you watch, she claims that no, you do indeed have subjunctive. Well, we do, but we don't really realize it. And
no.
also, it goes into different kinds of structures in English than it does in Spanish. So to say we have subjunctive is true, but no one ever, I guarantee, thinks about it or thinks of it as an iffy thing. They just think of the words maybe may or might. And in some cases, we really in English do not use it. There are just other things that sub in. So her point is that this is not helpful because there are many other situations beyond this weirdo trigger list, other situations that will also need subjunctive. Therefore, because those are not the only things that alert people learning Spanish to, this will use subjunctive. It's good to know like a philosophical underpinning of why subjunctive happens. And to even say it's about things that are not real subjunctive or that it's about doubt, it isn't always even super helpful. What they're saying now philosophically is if it declares that something is really going on, si declara, if it declares, it's indicative. And indicative means presente, pretérito, imperfecto, futuro, okay, all of that. Si no declara, if it does not declare, if it is not about an action that is really going on or did go on, then we cannot use indicativo. Then we need to use a subjunctive. And technically, that is a good 50-50 kind of way of thinking about subjunctive versus indicative and is actually true, but it's very hard for English speakers to discern this. So, okay, let me give you an example. What won't use weirdo, but doesn't have that weirdo acronym pattern, but it will use subjunctive. Some phrases that use cuando, but not all phrases that use cuando. It depends on if the phrase using cuando, si declara, if it declares that that thing really happens, then indicativo. Si no declara, if it does not declare that the action happens after cuando, then you need subjunctive. So cuando can go in either camp. And it depends on the context you mean. Are you declaring something that really happens? And that is the way that she and some of the other new grammar gurus want people to think. Is it declaring an action that actually goes on or actually did happen? If it is not something that actually happens, that's when they switch into subjunctive. So that is why the weirdo does not always work. Weirdo does not really take into account phrases like hasta que, until. It does not take into account just these fragments that really don't have even two clauses. You know, somebody who shouts out to you as you leave the store, que tengas buen día, may you have a good day. Que tengas buen día is a fragment, it's a clause, but it's not joined. It's not one subject, different subject in another clause. You don't have a spoken wish in a first clause to trigger it. Somebody just says, que tengas buen día, que te mejores. May you get better. Well, nobody says it in English as may you get better, that you get better. Nobody says it that way in English. They say get better. Okay, we say it like technically, I don't know, what is that? A command, a suggestion? It's something. It's a wish. It is a wish. But you aren't, in fact, better. You're under the weather. And that's why, because you're not better. No declara, it does not declare. And that's why it goes into subjunctive. So they would like people to think this way. But whether or not English speaking people can technically always think that way is another thing. So you need to kind of dip your toe in the pool and just practice. And I do think the weirdo thing is helpful, but there will be situations where you won't have that scaffolding, that framework to help you distinguish if it's subjunctive. And we want to look a little bit at cuando today, definitely. Okay, bien. Um, I'm going to assume there are no big questions about how to form subjunctive or that. And this is just a presente, the present, because
No.
past is like harder and other stuff. Okay. Um, practiquemos. Let's practice. Practiquemos. Queremos usar ejemplos, muchos ejemplos, many examples. The repetition of lots of examples and creating new examples that have meaning for you, that's what is helpful for people who find it and people do find it intimidating. Thus the little meme that Lori sent us with Simba and Daddy. Uh, it is a scary thing. Es importante. Just the fact that something is important doesn't mean that that thing in the next phrase coming up after the word que is actually happening, right? Es importante que tengamos en cuenta el precio de esto. It's important that we take into account the price of this. Okay. Hay otro ejemplo, and interrupt. And because we're a small group today, because of people being out, no pasa nada. It's no big deal. Hay otro ejemplo.
Well, I have an example and then I have a question about another way to say it.
Okay, sí.
So two
And that may
things.
be true, by the way. So,
Okay.
continue.
Es importante que paseemos antes del amanecer en el verano.
Ah, muy bien. Qué buen ejemplo.
Now, here was my other question. Tell me if this is correct. Es importante que paseemos antes de que salga el sol. You have to use subjunctive
Okay,
there.
okay. There are easier ways to do that and harder ways to do it. Okay, first thing, pasemos con dos E, dos letras de E. Es correcto. Pasear, Pasear, es to stroll, yeah, to take a walk. See? Entonces, so when we do the opposite vowel thing, we still have to keep that previous E from from there. Okay, pasemos. Es mucho más fácil decir antes del amanecer. Here, el amanecer el amanecer is the sun coming up, dawn. Yeah, sun rising. Okay. And everyone knows that as, okay, what it is. There we go. Uh, can you change it or tweak it antes de Lori?
Salga el sol.
Sí, because we use salir with the sun because it comes out. Yeah. Antes de que salga el sol. Sí, bien. También correcto. Wow, I need to use two subjunctives because of antes de que. Here is the magic key. Let's look at this. This is just antes de. This is antes de que. Hay una diferencia. There's a difference. Anytime we see that que, it means we are going to have another verb that is conjugated, plugged in there. It's going to talk about somebody or something doing an action. Okay. This first one is the much easier structure and is therefore probably what you'll hear more frequently. Sometimes there are workarounds or different ways to phrase things. That will happen. Es importante que pasemos antes del amanecer, durante el verano. Perfecto. Más corto. It's shorter. Más breve. That's what the average person is going to choose to say. También es correcto. Antes de que salga el sol. Yeah, before the sun comes up, comes out. But then we need another subjunctive because we've got antes de que, which is a trigger. It's not in the weirdo, weirdo, camp, but antes de que will be a 100%, not like cuando, 50-50, but 100% kind of subjunctive phrase. So there are two ways to say it. This one is more complicated. Complicated. Es más complicado. Antes de que salga el sol. So harder. Pero posible? Sí.
Mm.
Possible. Yes. Okay. Hay otro ejemplo. Diana?
Es importante que comamos antes de los 6. De las
Que,
6.
que comamos antes
Comamos
de las
las 6.
6.
Was this in the homework? I did not see this last
Oh,
week.
this was just examples we did. There is the
Oh,
homework
okay.
too. See,
Yeah.
these are the easier baby step things. We're going from easier to a little more complex. Okay. Es importante que comamos antes de las 6. Sí. It's important that we eat before 6. We're not actually doing the meal at this time, and that is why comamos no declara. That is not actually declaring that that thing is happening at this time. Okay, vale.
Actually, that is very, very helpful. If it's not declared, then it's subjunctive. I mean,
Yeah.
that is sort of puts it in its place.
It puts it, but it leaves that door so wide open for other things that don't follow into a, here's a list
Understood.
I'm going to memorize. Because there are, in fact, things outside that weirdo list that you cannot memorize that will come up. And there are points where people will speak at you and they'll just throw out a subjunctive, and you may think, "Ooh, wow, I kind of wasn't prepared to hear that." What they're telling you, but don't do the gymnastics of why did they use subjunctive. The gymnastics are, they're not gymnastics. They're telling you that action isn't happening yet.
Yeah.
It's telling you no declara. When somebody uses subjunctive, just accept, oh, that may be a wish that somebody, would like for that to happen, but it isn't actually happening right now, right? The
Yeah.
comamos, eating, we're not actually eating at this time. And no declara, it is not a declared action. So that is why. Okay, a ver. Mis amigos quieren que, here's the classic, querer with que. Oh, you know what? Before I leave this, let's take a look at when, before I leave the es importante realm. Let's say you're just totally intimidated, and rather than hemming and hawing, you need to get something out. These these impersonal phrases are the easiest things that have a workaround at times. If I don't have this magic word que, many, many times you will hear people using the impersonal phrases. Es importante, es imposible, es probable, all of those. And just no word que. If there's no word que after it, it means we're going to plug in an infinitive. So you could just as easily do a workaround, if you will, and avoid the subjunctive. Es importante Es importante tener en cuenta el precio. Es importante pasear
Mhm.
antes de. Uh, Notice there's no word que in here. If we don't have that magic word que, we're just going to flip to infinitive. Es importante pasear. Es importante comer
Yeah.
antes de las 6. Okay. When you do this, here's the thing, and this actually feeds into the declara versus no declara. When I don't have that word que, uh, what happens is I am making this sentence, it's important, I am making it to a faceless crowd.
Yeah.
I am making it a blanket statement when I don't have the word que. I am making it a blanket statement for any Tom, Dick, or Harry in my audience, for any person whatsoever. But when I insert the que, I am now making it personal that some group of or some person does that action.
Yeah.
And that person, no declara, that person, we declare the person, we declare the person, but we're declaring that that person, okay, would be nice if they were doing it, but they're not actually doing it at this time. So when I got the que, it means I am putting a face on that person I want connected with that action. Uh, does that make sense? See?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
and that kind of ties into the idea of declarar, yeah, or no declarar. If I don't have the word que in there, I have no human being to associate it with the impersonal phrase. Yeah. I have nobody to associate it with. Okay, a ver, adelante. Mis amigos quieren que no cante porque no les gusta mi voz. My friends want that I don't sing. En inglés, diríamos, we would say, my friends don't want me to sing. All right, and that's where we clearly don't really use a subjunctive. My friends would like that I should not sing, yeah, because they don't like my voice. But notice that they don't like my voice. Declara, that's a fact that they don't like my voice. What they're hoping doesn't happen is me doing the la 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 la. Yeah. So that cante is representing something no declara. It's not declared. Yeah, they would like me not to run the vocal scales. Okay, otro ejemplo. This is usually the one that students can grasp and can usually figure out. Mis amigos,
Mis amigos quieren que vaya con ellos al cine.
que vaya con ellos. And, it might be al cine, a la piscina, al supermercado, al teatro, lo que sea, whatever it might be. Sí, que vaya, right? We could change the face on who does it. Quieren que vayamos, that we go, right? Quieren que vayas, they want you to go. It could change to any, but we're making it a specific person. Versus quieren, quieren ir al cine.
Yeah.
They want to go to the movies. We're not tagging another person onto this.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I am not tagging on another person, a different person doing something, when I don't have that word que in the absence of that, it just means that they themselves want to hoof it over to the cinema. Okay. And therefore, I don't conjugate that second verb. All right. Vale. Bueno, otro ejemplo con
Oh,
querer.
question about that last example.
Sí, sí.
Like, could you put like con nosotros, conmigo? Like, could you do it
Sí.
that way and that's
Con
okay?
nosotros, conmigo. Oh, sí, 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 sí. Sí, perfecto. Yeah. Anything with this is just like adding on information of who you're doing it with. You know, Even al cine is just telling you where. None of those things have verbs. Son flexibles, they're flexible. They are inserting extra information about the people, a place, how somebody is doing something, etc. Okay. Otro
So the
ejemplo con...
pattern, the pattern I'm seeing is that like when you throw that K in there with in a lot of different situations, you have to do subjunctive.
Yeah. This que, and I won't say 100% because there are certain verb phrases that also use que, which may not use subjunctive. But que is a very sort of a magic word. The que is a magic word because it means in many, many cases, in a high percentage of cases, let's say, the que means, oh, now I'm going to talk about somebody else doing something. All right. And so that que, if that que is not there, it means the person who wants something is also associated with that action. And therefore, I don't need any subjunctive. There's just no call for it. Okay. Bien. Vale. Otro ejemplo con querer, ¿o no?
Sí. Y mis amigos quieren que no, and I had vaya a la escuela.
Que no vayas. Sí, a la escuela. Sí, bien. And yeah, it can be a vaya, it can be a no vayas. It can be, yeah. We can make it negative, we can make it affirmative. The no doesn't impact whether or not this is subjunctive. This little word here does impact that it's subjunctive because, I am adding in a different face into the mix of the action. Okay, vale, perfecto, perfecto. Okay. Uh, Recomendar. This is one of the verbs, and there are many verbs that may fall into the category of weirdo. That means recommendations. Any verb that talks about suggest, advise, recommend will fall into that R of the weirdo character. El mesero recomienda que nosotros pidamos el pescado. The waiter recommends that we order the fish. Ok. Bien. Otro ejemplo.
El mesero recomienda que yo pruebe el pescado.
Sí. Que yo pruebe, that I try out. Right? I taste, I try out. Que yo pruebe. And again, we've got our magic word que here. Uh, uh, recomienda is a fact. He is actually saying words that recommend something, but I have no food in my mouth yet. So no declara. This is not declared. It needs to be a subjunctive, right? Recomienda que pruebe. Bien. Bueno, otro ejemplo con recomienda. ¿No? Ok.
Mi madre recomendía que no haya make, I don't know, make something. No haya.
¿No haya?
No, mi madre recomienda que yo no haya la cena. I don't make the dinner. I mean,
Oh, haga.
haga, not
Ah,
haya.
sí. Sí, sí, sí. Haya is a subjunctive. That's why I was getting confused. Haya is in fact a subjunctive, but haya comes from haber.
Oh, haber.
Okay, so you have heard haya, but then haya, I mean, it could be just by itself, or it might be in a compound phrase. Uh, um, and then it's going to actually talk about something that kind of happened. Uh, uh, haya comido. All right. Por ejemplo, haya comido. haya preparado. Algo así. So, haya will often be paired up. It could be alone, but recomienda que no haga la cena en este momento.
Right.
¿Ya? Porque no han llegado los invitados because the guests haven't arrived. ¿Sí? Por ejemplo. But they're not make, it'll be haga. That is the form for hacer. Yeah. Bien. Ok. A ver. Y aquí. No creo que. I am declaring that I don't believe something. And because I don't believe this other thing, it's indicating that other thing is not really happening. And that is the no declara part. No creo que, but we've got our magic word que. We've got our magic word que. And then we have another face, mis vecinos, that we're putting in. So now we need a subjunctive. No creo que mis vecinos estén allí. I don't think my neighbors are there. O no creo que mis vecinos estén en casa. I don't think my neighbors are at home. Así, like that. Okay. Otro ejemplo con no creo que.
No creo que mis vecinos quieran regresar a Arizona el próximo año.
Que quieran regresar a Arizona el próximo año. Bien, especialmente si son canadienses. Sí, no creo que. Bien. Uh, and now we need a subjunctive. I'm saying I don't think they want to come back. No creo que mis vecinos quieran, subjuntivo, regresar. Bien, perfecto. Hay otro ejemplo
No creo que mis vecinos vengan a las vacaciones.
que vengan,
Vengan.
ven- vengan para las vacaciones.
Sí.
Sí. I don't think they're coming. And they're not moving anywhere right now. No declara. It does not declare something that is actually going on. Okay. So, especialmente si aquí, en este caso, vacaciones. Vaca, no, vacaciones. Okay. Bien. I'm dyslexically challenged today. Bueno, bien. Okay. Uh, creo que, when I use a creo que, if I believe something, yeah, or I say es cierto, it's true, or I say a sentence like es verdad, it's true, then I'm saying that other thing really is happening because I'm indicating 100% sure. I won't use subjunctive in those cases. Okay. So, creo que, without the no, creo que mis vecinos quieren regresar
Yeah.
o creo que mis vecinos vienen,
Yeah.
¿sí?
Mhm.
Creo que, I believe, I am saying declarar, and I'm saying declarar. I'm saying this is going to happen. I am saying it is for sure. You will, here's the dirty little secret that does not come into the weirdo thing. Even though it is grammatically correct to say, creo que mis vecinos vienen. I believe my neighbors are coming. You may occasionally hear somebody express this as, creo que mis vecinos vengan. It's not grammatically, maybe according to the rules, correct, but what are they do? What is somebody sending you a signal? They're saying, sending a signal
Maybe
that
not.
I have this belief,
Yeah,
but I am waffling now on this
yeah,
second thing. So it may not be grammatically super correct, but they are sending you a signal that they're not 100%
yeah,
sure about that second activity. That kind of thing can happen when you're talking with a real life person. It may not be 100, just like I'm not gonna do that isn't grammatically 100, isn't great. Say I'm
right.
not gonna, but will you hear people say it?
Yeah,
Yes. So these are the things we need to be on the lookout for. People are sending a signal with subjunctive that not really happening. Like
yeah,
in the video when she said, you know, you got the boyfriend, you say, hey, I want to make our relationship exclusive. And he's like, well, I like being with you, but yeah, that's not saying I want to put a ring on it, girl. Okay, so there
yeah.
you go. Uh, Ok, las cosas que son totalmente nuevas aquí. Uh, if you're talking to your husband or your wife, espero que, I hope that, and
Espero que mi esposo lave el coche antes de mi sobrina llega.
sí, ah, antes de que llegue mi sobrina, ah,
So,
has she actually come yet?
so,
No.
so because she hasn't actually come, I should have, because I had a question
And
about that.
because I
So
put a face on who's doing that,
then I
sí,
have to put the K and be subjunctive.
eso, sí. I, es mucho. It's a lot, isn't it? Sí.
Sí,
Sí. Espero que mi esposo lave. Yeah, I need subjunctive there. He's not washing the car at this time. Gee, I'd like it to. And think about it. This activity is out there in the future, but it isn't really happening yet. And like we're not 100% on it. We don't know. Gee, I hope he does it. That doesn't say he's going to do it. It doesn't say va a lavar el coche, va a lavar el carro. It does not say he's going to. It no declara, it doesn't declare that this will happen. It's on the little to-do list and it will be done. It doesn't declare, yeah. And then this second thing is not declared either. And this antes de que is a special thing. Uh, yeah, we'll carve out some time to talk about antes de que. But today, end of class, we want to really take a hard look at cuando and take a hard look at antes de que, because those are things that come up a lot, but they don't fit into the weirdo list. Okay, hay otro ejemplo con espero que.
Espero que mi esposa compre la leche.
Sí, compré leche en el súper.
Yes.
Eso, sí, bien, bien. Que compre leche. He is not, in fact, buying any milk at this time. No declara. It is not really happening. Okay. Vale, perfecto. You can use it to talk to tú, ¿sí? Espero que tengas tiempo para ayudarme ah, esta tarde, ¿sí? I hope you have time to help me, ¿sí? Espero que me ayudes. I hope that you help me. Muy directo. Very, very direct. Okay. Ojalá is a nice one because you don't have to think hard about ojalá. Ojalá just takes subjunctive. It's often used to talk about, well, anything that you hope happens, right? And ojalá has no face on it, actually. You just wish. And ojalá may or may not use que. It is acceptable to use it with que. It is acceptable to use it without. I tend to use it with que, but that does not mean it's the only thing. Oh, I have an electrical guy. Perdón. Bien. Momentito. My electrical guy. Tengo que pausar. I need to pause for a moment. Perdón.
No
I am so sorry.
problem.
I'm going to pause my recording here so they don't have to listen to me talking to panel guy. Bien. Y aquí otra vez. Gracias por su paciencia. Ok, vale. Bueno, ojalá. We're at ojalá. Ok.
Ojalá, ojalá.
Ejemplos con ojalá. Es fácil. Ojalá.
Ojalá llueva mucho este monzón.
Sí,
Yes.
llueve mucho durante el monzón. Eso, sí, exacto. Ojalá llueva
Pero,
mucho.
pero no creo que vaya a llover mucho.
Creo que no vaya que sí. Ok. Ah, ok. Otro ejemplo. Let's look at the aya word, Diana, that you had earlier. Here's where you'll have aya, but it might be by itself. Ojalá. Uh, uy. Ojalá.
Are we
And,
supposed to be seeing your
oh,
your
perdón.
screen?
Sí, gracias. Estoy distraída con el electricista. Distracted with the electrician. Ah, ojalá llueva. You might hear it without que. Sí, está bien. Ojalá llueva mucho durante el monzón. Ojalá que haya. ah, ojalá que no haya inundaciones.
Yes.
Hopefully, there are no floods.
Yeah.
Here's an example where haya may be by itself and not paired up with a participle, past participle, like, haya comido, haya preparado, así, etcétera. Ok, otro ejemplo con ojalá. Ojalá es fácil.
Ojalá que haga sol mañana.
Que
Haga sol
haga
mañana.
sol.
Haga sol mañana.
Haga sol mañana. Ojalá que haga sol mañana. Hopefully it will be sunny tomorrow. Perfecto. Muy perfecto. Vamos a practicar con es posible que. This is one of those ones that is easy. Que is the trigger that I need to put a face on and take a person on to an action. But that action isn't happening for sure, so we're going to make it subjunctive. Es posible que.
Es posible que haya menor alquileres a corto en mi barrio.
Haya fewer,
Yeah.
menos,
Uh,
ah, menos, rentals,
sí, alquileres a corto.
alquileres, sí, alquileres. En mi barrio, sí, o en mi vecindad,
Sí.
así, sí. Hopefully there are fewer, and here again, haya is just saying that those things will exist. Sí, es posible que.
Puede ir a la obra.
Que pueda
Puede
ir
ir a la obra.
a la ópera, sí. Bien, sí. Es posible que recibamos recibamos un precio bajo aquí. It's possible that we'll get a lower price here. Okay. Bien. Me alegro de que. And this is one of those things, this in the weirdo scheme is the verbs of emotion. And these are really tough for an English speaker to connect to subjunctive. And don't have a good explanation for you for why they do, but they just do. And it can be any emotion. But have to be happy that somebody is doing something. So it could be me alegro de que. I'm happy that. It could be me encanta que. I love that you are doing something. Uh, me gusta que. I like that somebody is doing something. But see, it's always got to be somebody doing something. I am putting my emotion, a subjective thing, onto that second action. So just accept that verbs of emotion take it. Me alegro de que. Me alegro de que. Un ejemplo, an example.
So I have go ahead.
Me alegro de que Sarah vaya a mi casa hoy.
Vaya a mi casa. Goes to my house. And you name it could be any person here. See? See? Una persona. See? Vayan a mi casa. Hoy.
By mi hija. Mi hija vaya a mi
Mi
casa
hija.
hoy.
Sí, mi hija, but it could be anything. Yeah, but sí,
Yeah.
mi hija. Bien. Okay. Bueno, otro ejemplo, Lori.
So I did it in present tense, but then I have a question that I think it's probably you would use past subjunctive, which I don't want to learn. I just wondered if that was how you would
And
say it.
I'll show you how it could sound,
Okay.
but go ahead.
So, me alegro de que mi amiga tenga un simpático novio.
Ah, sí, un
But
novio muy simpático, sí.
but how would I say, like, I'm happy that my friend found a nice boyfriend?
Ah, que mi amiga haya encontrado a un novio muy simpático. Ha encontrado. And this tells somebody that she has done this and that it's already over. Yeah. See. But what makes it the subjunctive is that I am happy about this occurrence. Yeah. Emotion just triggers it. It just does. And there's nothing really in that philosophical thing that video that really explains to me real well why those emotional verbs connect, but they do. So, usually if I'm talking about what me encanta, por ejemplo, me encanta leer. I love reading. Pero I love doing the reading. Sí, infinitivo. Me encanta leer. Pero me encanta que Lori lea novelas en español. I love it that she's reading novels. When I put a face on that second thing, I'm just putting my value judgment on it. And that second thing goes into subjunctive. See? Bien?
Yeah.
Bien?
Yeah.
Kind of bien. See?
That's
The
that's more
emotion thing is a
complicated.
toughie. It is a toughie, but
That's more,
just
yeah.
kind of accept that it does. And we're going to take a look at some examples. Now we're going to switch to the next. I promise you we will look at cuando, and I have to tag on a few minutes because I robbed a few minutes with con el electricista, the electrician. Okay, a ver. Adelante. Al segundo archivo, the second file. And what I wanted you to see and hear is that sometimes you hear things with just an infinitive tagged on, and sometimes the same kind of phrase will need a subjunctive, but the operating difference is usually going to be that when I plug in the subjunctive, I've got a que that follows that familiar, often used verb. And then I have a new person, usually tagged on. So, es mejor salir temprano, it's better to leave early, versus es mejor que el paciente salga temprano. ¿Sí? Bien. Okay. Um, Otro ejemplo, and it can be something other than es mejor. It can be es with, es probable, or es bueno, or es imposible.
Es mejor comer después de hacer ejercicio.
Sí, es mejor comer. It's better to eat. And then you
And
name
then the other is es mejor que él coma después de hacer ejercicio.
que él coma. It's better that he should eat. See? Um, a las 7, al mediodía, lo que sea. ¿Sí? Um, bien. Ok. Otro ejemplo con es mejor o any
Es
other
mejor,
impersonal.
es mejor hacer ejercicio en la mañana. And then for my other one, basically, I put it in present because I can't do past in this, but it's better to love and lose than to never love. So
Ah,
tell me if this is right. Es mejor que ame y pierda que nunca encuentre amor.
sí. Es mejor que ame y pierda. Sí, que ama y pierda. That you love and you lose. Sí. Pierda el amor. Ah, así. Boom.
Okay.
Vale.
But isn't that a person doing that, right?
Yeah. You know what? I would make this into a se ame, that one loves. Que se ame, that one loves, meaning any person. See? Uh, uh, when it is faceless, though, it is probably easier to keep it as an infinitive.
Yeah,
Es mejor amar y perder el
yeah,
amor. ¿Sí? Así.
yeah.
Ok, vale. Bueno, different impersonal phrase. Es bueno ordenar el cuarto. It's good to tidy up the room. Es bueno que tu hermana ordene su cuarto. It's good that your sister tidies up her room. Otro ejemplo.
Es bueno hacer la tarea.
Es bueno hacer la tarea,
And es bueno que tú hagas la tarea.
que tú hagas la tarea. And we put a face on that, que tú hagas, ¿sí? Ti, no, tú. Ok, hagas la tarea. Perfecto, perfecto. Otro ejemplo.
Es bueno comer saludable
Sí, bien.
y es bueno que mi esposo pueda arreglar cosas.
Es bueno que mi esposo pueda arreglar las cosas, el carro, el lavaplatos, sí, la tubería, the plumbing, la electricidad, lo que sea, whatever it might be, sí. Ah, Bien, perfecto, perfecto. One really important thing, I want everybody to see the difference that these impersonal phrases, when we don't name a person, they just tag on an infinitive. But once I name a person, I need that little que. The que is always an introduction to a human being coming into the scenario, right? Que is always a little red flag waving, saying, now I'm going to talk about a person now. Yeah. Okay, with a person. And you may not name the person because it may be conjugated for tú, and we often don't, yeah, you don't have to say que tú hagas, right? It can just be que hagas, and it will likely be that kind of thing. Okay, quiero ayudarte versus quiero que me ayudes. Okay, otro ejemplo.
Quiero viajar el próximo verano.
Quiero viajar el próximo verano, sí,
And
magnífico.
quiero que tú viajes conmigo el próximo verano.
Que viajes conmigo, ¿sí? El próximo año. Bien, bien. Bien, perfecto. Otro ejemplo.
Espero ir a compras mañana.
Espero, sí, here's another wish. Espero ir de compras. Ah, I hope to go shopping. Yeah. And I'm hoping I also hope to do the shopping. Espero que
Espero que mi amiga pueda ir a compras conmigo. O ir de compras.
ir de compras. Sí, ir de compras is the shopping. See, they need a bunch of words for the shopping part. Go shopping part. Que mi amiga
Oh,
pueda.
I'm sorry, I did the wrong one. I didn't do
No, está
quiero.
bien. That's okay. Está bien. We'll carve out a little extra time for our que and antes before we move on to the other stuff. Okay. Bien, bien. Algo más con espero.
Simple, espero comprar un carro nuevo.
Espero comprar un carro nuevo.
And espero que
Sí,
mi hija compre un carro nuevo.
que mi hija compre un carro nuevo. Perfecto, sí, bien, perfecto. Ok. Espero que I hope that. Ok. Espero, I declare that I have these hopes. But que ella compre. I'm not putting a new face on an action. She's not actually buying anything yet. Preferimos visitar en mayo. We prefer to visit in May. But when I now talk about my grandkids doing something, right? Preferimos que, we prefer, and the kids aren't actually doing something. So, yeah, so I need a subjunctive. Preferimos que los nietos visiten en mayo, ¿ok? Otro ejemplo con preferir.
Preferimos comer temprano.
Preferimos comer temprano, sí.
And preferimos que ellos comen con nuestros,
Que ellos coman con nosotros.
con nosotros.
Sí, con nosotros. Bien, que ellos coman con nosotros. We prefer that they eat with us. We don't want them to eat alone. We don't want them to eat at home and then join us later, ¿sí? Preferimos que ellos coman con nosotros. Magnífico. Otro ejemplo con preferir.
Prefiero quedarme en casa y
Ah,
prefieren que salgamos con ellos,
que salgamos con
con
ellos, sí.
ellos.
That we go out with them. Magnifico. Here is the one with me gusta. I want you to pay attention to. I like doing something, and I'm just talking about the fact that whoever likes that is also the person who likes that activity, versus liking that somebody else does that. When we like that somebody else does something, that other activity has to connect to that human being with a subjunctive. And just get used to it because me gusta is a verb of emotion. And I'll talk a little bit about what some other verbs of emotion are considered because I won't have a definitive list for you, but I'll have a list. Okay. Me gusta.
Me gusta viajar.
Me gusta viajar. I like to travel.
Me gusta que él viajar conmigo.
Que él viaja conmigo. Sí, perfecto. Viaje
Viaje.
conmigo. I like that he travels with me. ¿Sí? Bueno, otro ejemplo con me gusta. Me gusta.
Me gusta leer y me gusta que mi esposo lea con más frecuencia.
Ah, sí. Bien, bien, perfecto, perfecto. Muy bien, muy bien. Vale, ok. Ah, ¿Qué recomiendas? What do... Oh, and this got separated because of this goofy thing that the spacing does. ¿Qué recomiendas? What do you recommend? Versus me recomiendas? You recommend to me que yo pruebe este plato.
I wasn't sure what you wanted us to do it because you can't change
Oh, yeah.
recommend us.
Sí. Bien.
I have, ¿cuál
Probably just the
marca,
last half.
sorry, ¿cuál marca de coche recomiendas? Y,
Sí. ¿Qué marca
y,
de coche recomiendas? What
sí,
car brand do
y
you recommend?
no recomiendo que compres un Tesla.
Ajá, no recomiendo que compres un Tesla. Así, sí, bien, perfecto, perfecto. Okay. Uh, Let me tell you some other verbs that may fall into the same category as me gusta. All right. So that you kind of get a feeling for what do they consider verbs of emotion, the E of weirdo. Obviously, me gusta. Also, me encanta. Also, me alegro. De que I'm happy that. Also, lo siento que. I'm sorry that. uh, Also, possibly, me sorprende, surprises me, see? Also, possibly, me frustra, frustrates me, see? When that somebody does something, see? Also, maybe me enoja, it makes me mad. Okay, right? These are all, if they have a K attached to it and we're talking about somebody else, these are all going to be verbs of emotion. So you can see why I can't like give you an exact number of verbs because there'll just be a lot of them. Anything that talks about an emotion. Verbs of recommending might be verbs like sugerir, to suggest, because that's still a recommendation, right? They might be aconsejar, to advise, because when you advise, you are talking about something that isn't, somebody else isn't necessarily doing that action yet. It's a suggestion, right? So, recomendar, sugerir, aconsejar, um, and this does not fit neatly. We'll talk about this next week, but not this week because it's kind of a longer description. But I'll kind of lay this out there as something to think about. Decir sometimes,
Decir.
right? Yeah. Uh, 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 they tell me to do something. Could
Oh,
be. So we'll look at it next week, but not yet this week. Okay. Just something to think about. Okay. Bien, bien. Let's look at the curious case of cuando. Cuando is a special case. Cuando,
I
when
see.
is a word we throw around a lot. But sometimes cuando uses, sometimes declara, sometimes it declares. And sometimes, a veces, cuando no declara. Sometimes Cuando does not declare that something is actually happening. So let's look at why. Cuando has a foot in both worlds. It has a foot in the subjunctive world. It has a foot in indicativo, indicative world. Okay? Uh, when cuando talks about habits, patterns, uh, uh, things that really do happen, uh, it will use indicative. Declara. It declares. It declares because it's a habit. It declares because it's
Mhm.
something that is done regularly. It occurs, right? Presente, plain old present tense. Camino con mi perro can mean I'm walking with my dog. Paseo con mi perro. It can mean I'm walking with my dog right now. Paseo con mi perro can also mean I walk with my dog, meaning I do this as a routine.
Yeah.
So presente has a couple of jobs. So just as that happens, cuando, when it talks about a habit, a pattern, something that really does happen, like on a regular basis, then it uses, declara, it uses indicativo. Cuando te veo, uh, when I see you, I give you a little kiss. When somebody uses cuando this way, they're saying, oh, this actually happens, right?
Mhm.
Notice the difference. Cuando, ah, cuando yo te vea, voy a darte un besito. There is a difference between these two, even though they're talking. Oh, cuando te vea, perdón.
Yeah.
Cuando yo te vea, voy a darte un beso. Here, cuando will need subjunctive because I'm not talking about a habit. I'm talking about
Mhm.
something out there and it is not happening right now. When I see you, but I don't necessarily know exactly when I will see you. Uh, that when is not declaring that the action is happening now. It is putting that activity off until another time. And that isn't really happening yet. It is vague, it is fuzzy. Cuando yo te vea, when I may see you, whenever that will be. And I don't know for sure. Cuando yo te vea, voy a darte un besito. And now this is a declaration. I will do this thing.
Yeah.
But this thing here has not yet happened. And when cuando talks about something that's out there in the future, it will need to use subjuntivo
Yeah.
because then it is not a declared action. That is a tough thing for us because, okay, I guess whenever I may see you is something you wouldn't find odd for people to say in English. But in general, in English, we just say when I see you. And it's just, yeah, like that.
Mhm.
But, in Spanish, if it is a future and it has not yet happened, I'm going to need to pair up cuando with a subjunctive. Is there another example we could think of with cuando when it will pair up with a subjunctive because it's a future action that isn't really happening at this time? Let's and,
I, I,
and the cuando may swing to either side of the sentence. Sí, perdón.
I think I actually did it backwards. I see that now. So how about cuando le visitemos a mi mamá en mayo, le cocinamos.
Sí, cuando visitemos a mi mamá en mayo, ¿sí? Y la segunda parte.
Le Cocinamos.
Ah, ah, ah. Cocinamos para ella.
Ah,
Sí. Uh, Le cocinamos, you probably have to tag something else on. Le cocinamos una cena enorme, por ejemplo, ¿sí?
mm,
Uh, we generally won't have le cocinamos without the thing. Le
okay.
cocinamos una cena, sí, enorme. Bueno, sí. But this, I am definitely saying, wow, that is out there. It is a big fat thing out there in the future, and it isn't happening yet. Yeah. I'm not talking about a habit of it's always in May. Bien, perfecto. Futuro, when cuando talks about something out in the future, and this has not happened yet. Yeah. Um, okay. And this
Marilyn,
cocinamos can just be if you, or vamos a cocinar. Yeah. It might
that
be
was my
easier to think this.
question.
Sí, sí.
I wasn't sure if I needed to do like vamos a cocinar or if I could just like use cocinar and conjugate it.
You could just say cocinamos. Sí, cocinamos.
Okay.
Yeah. Sí. Bien.
And it doesn't have to be in the future tense,
Oh,
or should it be
oh,
future
okay. Yes,
tense?
you can just because actually presente has that possibility of talking about implying future. It has that possibility. Sí. You can leave it as pleno presente. See? You could even do this. You may even hear it this way. This way. Cuando visitemos a mi mamá en mayo, cocinemos para ella, para ella. There's a little twist to this. Wait a minute. What is that? That is saying, let's cook. Not we're going to, but let's. Expressing it that way says, let's. We're kind of making it a we command. And yeah, and actually, we were kind of declaring there that it hasn't happened yet, but we would like it to. So you may hear this shows you es muy flexible. It is very, very flexible. There are different ways that people may combine these structures. You may hear it different ways. Okay. And let me swing the cuando to a different position so that you see that we sometimes can flip or reverse these phrases. ¿Sí? Bien. Por ejemplo, otro ejemplo, ¿sí? Ah, vamos oh, sí. Vamos, vamos a usar una tarjeta de crédito cuando paguemos esta cuenta. We're going to use a credit card. I'm saying that's a future, our intent, the way we're going to do it. Declaro, I declare. Vamos a usar una tarjeta de crédito cuando paguemos esta cuenta. Cuando paguemos esta cuenta tells
Mhm.
me we haven't paid yet. When we pay the bill. But that's out there in the future, and I don't know when we'll do the paying. I know, declaro, I know I'm using a card, but I don't know when I'm going to pay it.
Mhm.
Es la diferencia. That's the difference. I know I'm going to put it on plastic. That's for sure. declaro. I use indicativo. I don't know when I'm going to actually commit that dollar amount. I don't know when the payment will happen yet. Cuando paguemos, whenever we pay. Could be next month, could be next week. No estoy segura. I'm not so sure.
So a
That's,
question,
sí,
if you said uso una tarjeta de crédito cuando pago las cuentas, then it would be a habit and you don't need.
sí, perfecto, perfecto. Uso una tarjeta de crédito cuando pago las cuentas. Eso, sí, perfecto. I am telling you this. I am making a conscious choice to tell you that this is my general routine. This happens a lot. It is a fact. It happens often. Es mi rutina. It is my routine. Uso una tarjeta de crédito cuando pago las cuentas. Eso. There you go. Sí. So, right. Somebody may, whenever you hear somebody using cuando with subjuntivo, it's indicating that activity has not yet happened. It is put off to a fuzzy, we're not so sure time period in the future. But when I use it with cuando with indicativo, declaro, I declare that this does indeed happen on a general basis.
Yeah.
Okay, ¿es mejor?
Sí.
A little
Yes.
better?
Sí,
Sí.
sí.
Cuando,
Yes. Sí.
cuando, cuando uh, cuando is a special phrase, and cuando sadly for us, or happily, is a phrase that English speakers and Spanish speakers use a lot. We often tag on the idea of when, but when puts something off into a fuzzy future, and I don't really know exactly when it's going to happen, I need to pair subjunctive with cuando. When I talk about my general routines and things that I really do actually perform an action, perform an activity, then I pair up cuando with indicativo. Okay, bien.
Mhm.
All right. Let me also look at with you this because it has already come up a couple of times. And I'll put this back on screen. And I think we'll have just time to do this. Whoop, perdón. That was not helpful. Este botón. Okay. Bien. This word antes. It is actually not a problem, but you need to make sure you either pair a word with it or don't. Antes and antes de que both mean before.
Mhm.
Yeah, see? Uh, both mean before. And the difference is here, this que again is going to be a magical word that puts up a red flag and says, here comes a human being now. Okay. Antes de is before, and antes de que is indicating before somebody
Mhm.
does something. Aha. This indicates antes de que with a person doing it. Well, wait, before. It hasn't happened yet. This is one of those phrases, antes de que is 100% subjunctive. It is 100% when it's antes de que, because I'm putting a face on it. And just by the nature of it before, action hasn't happened. So let's look at examples. But antes de, if I don't have a pair it with an actual human being, it's just going to use an infinitive. Okay, so that's the easy answer. That's why it's easy. See, sí. Por ejemplo, me cepillo, uh, me cepillo los dientes. Antes de acostarme. I brush my teeth before going to bed. And it's just before going to bed. And I'm still the same person doing it. It's easy peasy. Me cepillo los dientes antes de acostarme. Antes de acostarme. I'm still talking about myself doing that same action. I don't have a different person coming into the scene. And we just keep it as an infinitive. See? Bien? But okay. When I pair up a antes de que and a different person, I'm going to need a subjunctive. Okay, por ejemplo, vamos a, oh, tengo que, tengo que preparar todo en casa, en mi casa, antes de que lleguen mis parientes.
Sí,
Yeah,
sí,
I have to prepare everything in my house. Yeah, before my relatives
arrive. Yeah.
yeah arrive get here. See? However you want to express that. See? So now I have to do something. Declaro. This is all declarative. But antes de que, before, and that next activity is not a part, no, that is really, has to 100% obviously be no declara because before, well, it has not yet happened. And I am furthermore putting a different face on it. So even more so, yeah, before my relatives do something. My relatives are not in fact here yet. Yeah, it's not a fact. So
Mm.
that's why it goes into subjuntivo, llegue. ¿Sí? Bien? ¿Sí?
Sí,
¿Entienden? Does that make
sí,
sense?
sí.
See,
¿Tiene sentido?
Yeah, sí.
Okay. I am going to create a little file and it'll be short. And I will want you to practice a little bit with the cuando in two situations. And I'll set it up so that you've got a situation, but you'll have a lot of free reign, right? And I'll probably create like 4 different scenarios for you to practice because
Okay.
that is a tough one. And cuando can do either way. So I want you to try both ways to show how that meaning will change. And then we'll do a little bit with, in the same file, you'll have, again, about 4 little situations to practice just antes de and plain old infinitive. Antes de que and subjunctive. But remember, antes de is generally talking about the same human being,
Right.
whoever you were talking about in the first part. Antes de que is always that little red flag saying, here comes a different person. And before they do it, well, they haven't done it yet. So there's kind of no question mark. You have to put subjunctive in that situation. ¿Tiene sentido? Make sense?
Sí, sí, sí,
See?
sí. Yes.
See?
Much more.
Mucho mejor. A little better?
Mucho
Better?
mejor. Sí.
Okay. Uh, I'm thinking I may show you some C phrases, but not quite yet. So what we wanted to do was show some things that step out, that put a foot outside of that nice, comfortable mnemonic device of WEIRDO. so that you can understand that subjunctive will come out outside of that scenario, right? Uh, and yeah, and why that happens. So it's good to think in terms of, is this a declared really happening or a no declara not declared, and it really isn't happening at this time. It actually is good to think in those terms. I am a I am a little nervous about whether I should give you, I don't want to create too much homework, create that situation again. Uh, I think I am going to give you a reading instead so that you can read however much, because some of the videos are a little bit longer and a little harder. ¿Cuánto? Oh, tres páginas, 3 pages. We will preview, though, what your reading is about. This is something that has been all over the internet, and it happened in Spain, not in Mexico. And un
Sí, sí,
apagón. Ah, and there are a ton of videos.
yeah,
And I knew there was going to be immediately when this happened. I knew a whole bunch of YouTubers were going to start posting videos. And there are about 3. I have already started to review them, but some are more complicated than others. So we'll have some of that for listening comprehension later. But I want you to read so that you know what they're going to be talking about ahead of time. I think that makes more sense. España y Portugal se quedaron sin electricidad.
sí,
Eso es lo que
sí,
sabemos. Spain and Portugal were left without, quedaron sin electricidad. They were left in the dark. They were
yeah,
off the grid. They had a blackout. Se quedaron sin electricidad. They were left without electricity. Esto es lo que sabemos. This is what we know about, ¿sí?
yeah,
Y introduce la situación con millones de personas, millions of people, en la península ibérica, in the Iberian Peninsula. So that's why Portugal is in this scene too. Se quedaron sin suministro eléctrico. We're left without electrical services, suministros, services, ¿sí? Capacity. Durante horas.
mhm,
Durante here, think of it not as during so much as for. Durante horas, for hours. El lunes por la tarde hasta la noche. Monday afternoon until nighttime. Because, as happens with our blackouts, uh, the blackout was resolved poco a poco, little by little. Some regions got electricity reestablished earlier than others. Some had to wait until 11 p.m. Some did not get it until 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Now, the term you're going to read, and I don't want you to have to look it up, is apagones. Apagones are blackouts, but you don't have to look that word up. Apagar means to turn off. So
yeah,
when I turn it into a noun and it becomes apagón, it means turn off permanently, shut off. Apagón is a blackout. We call it a blackout. They call it a turn off. And that's not an
mhm,
emotional turn off, but it is a literal electrical turn off. And somebody flipping the big switch, which was of immense interest as I got all these quotes from electricians this week. Los semáforos se apagaron en cruces muy transitados. Semáforos, traffic lights, were turned off at very heavily traveled intersections. Cruces, there's talking about intersections. Los trenes se detuvieron en plena jornada laboral. Trains were stopped in the middle of a workday. Jornada laboral means a workday. Plena means in the middle of, right smack in the middle, because this happened about noon, 11 o'clock noon. Y se formaron largas filas, and long lines were formed en cajeros automáticos cajeros automáticos, ATMs. Yeah. Y tiendas and stores, tiendas de comestibles. And so
Grocery stores?
grocery stores, yeah, comestibles are edibles, comestibles, foodstuffs, yeah. So long lines were formed at ATM machines and food stores, donde los lectores de tarjetas were card readers. Lectores are readers donde lectores de tarjetas de crédito dejaron de funcionar. Dejaron de funcionar means they
They stopped working. They didn't
stopped
function.
working. Yeah, stopped working.
Uh,
Okay. We're going to read up until because I robbed you of time with my electricista. Los apagones generalizados, the generalized blackouts, trastornaron el lunes la vida de millones de personas en España y Portugal y brevemente en parte de Francia. The generalized or widespread blackouts, apagones, transformed or upset or upended or happened on Monday. That happened on Monday. See, they upended the lives of millions of people. And it's very interesting because the YouTubers we're going to look at next week, they either say, what a party or what a pain in the behind.
mhm.
And one side is trying to say, oh, we all took this as a big party. And one side said it was nothing but a big snarl and a mess. So it goes to show you that if everybody says, we're just going to say, we don't have to work, it's crazy. Not everybody felt that way. Por eso, because of that. Therefore, por eso, nos preguntamos qué causó las interrupciones y cuándo volvería la luz. Therefore, we asked ourselves what caused the interruptions and when the light was going to come back. Volvería would return, when the electricity would return, when the light would return. El martes por la mañana, Tuesday morning, el apagón había concluido. The blackout had
Has ended, concluded,
had
stopped.
been concluded, had ended. ¿Sí? En su mayor parte, for the most part. Pero aún se estaba investigando la causa, but the cause was still being investigated.
Yeah.
See? So this will be the prelude. Oh, you're only going to have 2 pages left.
Yeah.
Read, allow yourself to look up 3 to 5 words, no more than that. We'll do a little bit of shadowing next week, just to see that you understood. You're talking about to practice our pronunciation and to see what kind of questions you had. If there are words, don't look up gobs and gobs, but do read. It was an interesting and odd occurrence. I think they still don't know the cause.
Yeah. Wow.
Creo, no creo que sepan. No creo que sepan la causa del apagón.
Good.
Es así, pero ocurrió en la red europea, but it occurred on the European network.
Right. Hmm.
Así. Bien. ¿Ok? ¿Vale?
Sí, sí, sí,
Es
Sí,
suficiente.
sí, sí.
Magnífico. Ok, un artículo de mucho interés porque tenemos apagones aquí en Arizona durante el verano
Sí,
con mucha frecuencia, ¿no? Y bueno, eso es todo. ¿Todo bien? ¿All
sí.
good?
Gracias.
sí.
Magnífico, magnífico. Bueno, espero que tengan muy, muy, muy buena semana. Ah, y nos vemos pronto, ¿no?
¿Y tú? ¿Y tú?
Ah,
Sí.
gracias, gracias. Muchísimas gracias.